I'm just going to specifically address Indiana Fever fans. You cannot spend a year, give or take, a year, celebrating Sophie Cunningham as an enforcer for delivering hard fouls on behalf of Caitlin Clark for protecting her, right? Because that was celebrated in the past. Making highlight reels about how tough she is. And then suddenly become advocates for nonviolent basketball when Sophie Cunningham is on the receiving end of that foul. I don't agree with this leap. I completely agree Dijonai should have gotten a flagrant foul too, absolutely. But to then flip the entire script and say she's violent, that's reckless, that's not fair, it's double standard. I'm not rocking with that. So I wanted to talk about that because when Sophie does it, she's an enforcer. But when Dijonai does it, she's dangerous. That was one of the main things. And don't worry, Dijonai's not getting off the hook because we will discuss that white privilege comment. It came at the worst time. I want to go ahead and show you what was said. She tweeted, white privilege, at the Indiana Fever. I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty dope. Because me as a person who has been advocating against Indiana Fever fans, specifically how they treat Kelsey Mitchell as the ugly stepchild. We love her when Caitlyn not here, but when Caitlyn's here, she not the star. Caitlyn's the best player. So I hate that. I really, really hate that. I truly think Kelsey Mitchell is the better player, but that's a whole nother conversation. So with Indiana Fever fans, not really. I love that, but I did not like how it was so vague and left up to interpretation. And then Dijonai defends her stance by saying we make assumptions. Was the game even over when she tweeted this? Like, too soon, or not soon enough. That's the conversation. And so she tweets this. Now there's a man named Emmanuel Acho, and sorry if I'm saying his name wrong to the football lovers, but he's an analyst. I do know he has somewhat of a history of like having a black man having conversations about racism. He's had these types of conversations before. So when he weighed in and he responded to Dijonai, first he was saying like the foul itself was not, like, you getting ejected was not white privilege. And so he was pretty much responding to how she used white privilege and her saying it, and then he responds to it, and then she claps back and says, oh, well, you don't know what I meant by it. And then he responds and says, and that's the exact same thing I'm trying to tell you. He called her asinine, and he questioned her intelligence. Carrington said, I never once claimed that the assessment of the foul was white privilege. That was your assumption. And she was speaking to Emmanuel. Try exercising your critical thinking skills. I know you studied psych. Furthermore, I'm the last thing from ignorant or asinine when it comes to speaking on white privilege. Do your research. By the way, she said do ya, like do and then YA research on that one. It's just kind of funny because like we talking about Grant, you know, but I see what she's saying. Like it was, you know, okay. I actually went to school, one of the top universities, might I add, to educate myself on this exact subject. I would never use the term as a rhetorical weapon, knowing the historical and social weight it holds without having the proper evidence to substantiate it. Oh, Emmanuel said, someone needs to share this message to Dijonai Carrington. You can't call that foul white privilege. And so he has this video talking about it, but I don't want to talk about his initial response to what she says. I want to talk about his response to her response, and we're going to play that here. First of all, in his co-host, I think he was mad corny for that, because this is what I'm talking about when we have guys who, like, when it comes to women, he was like, oh, I don't care what she says, she's fine, so she could say anything.
Emphasis. There's something wrong with him, bro.
Shady has issues, bro. First and foremost, respect to Dijonai, because I actually appreciate somebody that can come to a conversation with a little bit of intellect. So I appreciate that first and foremost.
Okay, first of all, he's being completely facetious. He said, I love how someone could come to the conversation about intellect, because she did mention in her tweet how she went to one of the top universities and she's very educated. So he was being very facetious because he said, of saying that. Yeah, that's crazy.
Kudos to you, Dijonai Carrington. And also, I do not stand with those that are coming at you and attacking your personhood. Attack the action, but don't attack the person. So let me also preface with that. With that being said, Dijonai,
Hold on.
Nate, you can't act as though you discovered the moon. You can't act as though you are the genius in a room and everybody else is idiotic. What I mean by that is...
Okay, you know what this is reminding me of? I'm not going to lie. And I love that I'm about to do this reference. Y'all remember Snow on the Bluff with J. Cole? And he was talking to, it was this one shorty, like, she did raps and stuff. She wasn't, like, super big, but she did freestyle raps. And this was, like, back in 2020. So she was, like, I think her name was No Name. Her name was No Name. She was talking about, like, black men. And she was just going on rants on her Twitter about, like, just the state of black men. I wouldn't say she was tearing them down. She was coming with, like, that tough love, like, that type of opinion that is, like, oh yeah, y'all need to do better. I'm sick of this, like, blah, blah, blah. So J. Cole dropped, not a diss, but he pretty much just dropped a conversation where he was saying, like, I know you were raised, like, in a privileged way. Like, you have two parents that loved you. Like, he was coming from a place of, like, if you're gonna, I know you're educated, so maybe if you came from a place of maybe trying to teach as opposed to trying to chastise, then the conversation can continue to expand, because some black men aren't really ready to hear that type of criticism in that type of way, or receiving it some type of way, you know. So that's pretty much was the premise of the whole conversation. And obviously No Name dropped her diss and was dissing J. Cole. This is kind of reminding me of that. Not with the same context necessarily, but we're talking about a black man talking to a black woman, and they both have big platforms, and they both have, like, a different way of approaching the state of people's mentalities. We know the crises of America. We know how people think. We know the extremities, the lengths that they go, the mean, racist things that they, and are, you know, the keyboard gangsters. We already know that. It's like they're fighting the same battle, but they're just doing it in a different way.
If you are going to suggest that we should think critically about a statement, white privilege, when you at the Indiana Fever, you didn't give us much to think critically about. You uttered a phrase, white privilege, of which is both incredibly inflammatory and also a very volatile word, but...
It is, though. I'm surprised the president hasn't talked about it yet, and that's probably coming, because when you use white privilege, you just open up the door for, like, a woman on Fox 45, she literally said it was black privilege of her to say white privilege. And it's just like, oh my God. Y'all know that, Kayla McBride broke her 3-point record in most threes in a game. Did y'all know that? Oh, all right. Like, let's talk basketball.
You didn't give us any context. So now we, as the interpreter, since you posted it publicly on Threads for the world to see, we, the interpreter, now have to try to figure out what exactly were you talking about. Well, common sense would...
My first response to that was, oh, well, I didn't think she was talking about the fouls. I thought she was talking about how the fans reacted to her fouls. I really didn't think she thought that her foul wasn't warranted to an ejection. But then at the same time, I was like, and I know how outspoken players are being, and I think she took a moment to maybe address something that she could be feeling while actually in the thick of it, like actually being a player within the league and having those conversations. Like, I'm not sure she had this bias, but when I first read the tweet, I didn't think she was talking about the foul itself, about her. I think she was talking about how the fans were already positioning it. So I think it was like she was already reading the comments and subjecting herself to what the fans thought about what she did. So that's why she said that. And I think she also understands, like everybody else understands, how the Indiana Fever fans be coming. How the Caitlin Clark fans be coming. Because I really want to know if Dijonai did the same foul to a different fan base, if she did it to a different team in a different market, would she have then tweeted that tweet? I'm going to say no.
That you were talking about fouling a white individual and getting ejected for fouling that white individual. Now, as I said on social media, and I will say in real life, if that is not what you were talking about implying, then that's on me. I will stand down and I will stand corrected. But the last thing I must again reiterate, we live in a speaker-oriented country. Speaker-oriented, receiver-oriented. Speaker-oriented country. It is on you, the speaker, to be clear, to be direct, and to be obvious with what you are speaking about. It is not...
1,000%. When I did a Kennedy Carter video, I obviously had a full show. I had a full segment, and I chopped up a reel. And just based on the reel, even if they would have stayed to the end, they would have heard me say, I still want Kennedy Carter on my team. But because I did not agree, or I criticized her in a sense, or just I asked the question, like, why hasn't she been picked up? Maybe it has to do with her history of not just having a good fit with the culture. that is like a personal problem. If you go to multiple cultures and you don't fit in, I start to think like that's a you thing. And so I was pretty much saying that, and someone commented and told me to shut up, and I don't really know Kennedy, and why would I ever like want to treat her like that? And I'm like, at the end of the day, I still put her on my team though. I even said in the video, I'm making assumptions I actually really don't know. And then they said, why are you making assumptions? I'm like, I literally said that I don't know, but that's on the speaker orientation. I didn't lead with that. I ended with that, and they didn't stay long enough to hear it. So I agree with him. That's on me. That's not on them.
Not on the receiver, the reader, or the listener. If we were in a listener-oriented country, completely different. Onus is on me. America's a speaker-oriented country, so the onus is on you. If you want to tweet out white privilege with no context and simply assume that we should try to understand what you're talking about, you didn't say much for us to figure out what you're talking about, so you allowed the whole world to run with it. Last thing I will say is very simply,
hopefully that really is the last thing he says. Like, I really do. And honestly, I would love if they had a conversation about this, like behind cameras, like not where we can hear them or see them. I really do. And I wonder like what the men in Dijonai's life are saying. Like, I always wonder when like a black man speaks against a woman and who they have around them talking to them about the situation, because it's either going to lead to more tension or someone's going to maybe open up their mind to the other person's perspective and they can get to a place where they're like evenly balanced. But blah, 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 that's boring. Nobody wants to hear that.
So many people have asked you, amongst others, well, then what are you talking about? We still have yet to get a response. All that Dijonai, you have told us is, hey, I wasn't talking about the foul. Well then, what were you talking about?
Well, now, no matter what she says, it's going to be portrayed as like a backpedal, unfortunately, because of the like how much this has spiraled. I also want to know if there's going to be any further consequences to what's happening. I want to know if the WNBA could potentially take more action towards regulating what the women say online, but at the same time that might go against their freedom of speech. So is there a way to maybe navigate that loophole of how you're representing yourself in the league? Like, she literally added the Indiana Fever. Like, she added their entire organization as an Indiana Fever organization. For her and her brand, her like who she is within the league, she could end up being another Kennedy Carter, bro, where you're good, but nobody's going to pick you up. Because as much money as the WNBA has been making, they're still a small organization. They still only have 15 teams. They're going to expand to 18 eventually in the next couple years, but there's not that many freaking teams, which means there's not that many players, which means there's not that many people around. It's a small community. Word gets around. You're hard to work with. You're going to be causing controversy and friction. We're probably not going to sign you. We're not going to invest into you. Doesn't matter how good you're playing. So, I mean, if Dijonai wants to fall on some type of sword, cool. But it definitely backfired on her, and I really hope it doesn't affect her career.
Used to believe, on behalf of everybody that is confused, we're not all idiots and you are the one genius in the room. That's just not the case. So I say this with all respect. I respect your intelligence. I respect your response. And you currently on the court hooping, so respect to you. But
facts. I'm glad he said that. You on the court hooping, so big respect to you. At the end of the day, I'm definitely that type of person. I don't care what you say or don't say. I don't care if you offended me or you didn't. If you can hoop, you can hoop. If you can ball, you can ball.
There's still a lot of errors in your thought process and thought pattern.
All right. We got to see his response to that. And I don't know. I don't think he's taking it personal. I think it could possibly get there. He said this is the last thing he's going to say. I hope that's like the last thing he says, period. But because this is getting so much traction, so much attention, it's probably going to be another opportunity for him to talk about it, or for both of them to talk about it. But I would really, really, truly love for both of them to get into a room and have that real conversation about it.